Hey there. I just wanted to go ahead and let some of you know some of the symptoms that my husband has been experiencing since getting the Moderna COVID-19 vaccination. My husband is active duty Army. We are stationed here in South Korea. He received his first vaccination on January 15th. And he started, along with the regular symptoms of nausea, headache, fever, all of that, cold flu-like symptoms. On top of that, he also started to notice that his heart was pounding really hard. But the heart rate on his watch, I got him one of those really cool Garmin watches that tracks your GPS and everything. Anyway, it's got a pretty accurate heart rate on it. It started saying that his heart rate was around anywhere between, I don't know, 32, 35 beats per minute up to typically 47 beats per minute. My husband is 6'2", 220 pounds. His natural resting heart rate is around 70 beats per minute. So all of this started happening after he got the first COVID vaccination, which at the time we didn't think that there was a correlation between the two. Anyway, he had noticed for the last 3 weeks that he started getting chest tightening and that the pounding was getting worse and it was keeping him up at night. He couldn't sleep. So we finally went to the ER. They did blood work. They did an EKG. Everything was completely normal. The only thing that showed any slight irregularities was the heart rate monitor. Anytime it dropped below 40, all the alarms would go off and stuff. So that happened on and off over a course of 3 hours while we were there. But he wasn't under any duress or any, there was no life-threatening issues. So they released him and told him to follow up with his primary care provider. He called and made an appointment. He got an appointment for 2 weeks out. And then while this was going on, he got his COVID vaccination, his second shot, on February 12th. And within 48 hours of getting that vaccination, we had to go back to the ER again because in the middle of the night, his heart woke me up. I wake up periodically to check on him anyways because I'm that worry wife. How are you feeling? Are you okay? And I had woke up and I was going to tap him and ask him how he was doing, and I could hear his heart just loud as could be. And the best way that I can describe it is when you run 3 miles and you personally feel your heart like beating out of your chest. That's what it sounded like. And he says it feels like a sledgehammer being taken to his chest. So that, coupled with the low heart rate, of course that has us concerned. So this time he went in, they did find a slight arrhythmia on the EKG this time, which was not there prior after the first vaccine. And so they went ahead and released us, but the doctor was great. He answered all my questions. I had 1,000,001 questions, and we started thinking that it was COVID related because another soldier in his unit had started developing the same symptoms after getting his second COVID vaccination, which was also on February 12th. So I was asking the doctor all these questions, and he was saying he hasn't heard anything to do with, heart issues or bradycardia. Bradycardia is what a low heart rate terminology for somebody that has low heart rate is what it's called, bradycardia, which now my husband is dubbed as having. And so anyway, he said he hasn't heard anything like that at all. And so I was just asking him all these questions, and basically, is there, some kind of magic blood work panel they can do to see if anything from the COVID vaccination is affecting anything in his body, which of course there isn't. There's no markers. All you can really do is go through a patient's history, which my husband has a crystal clear history. He's been healthy as a horse his entire life. He works out regularly, but he's not an athlete by all means. It's not like he's running any 5Ks or marathons or anything like that. So, his heart rate would be that low if he was extremely healthy, I suppose, but not in these particular circumstances. So the doctor was able to go ahead and get us a quicker appointment with his doctor. And so we ended up seeing him, I think, 48 hours later, which was this past Monday. That doctor thinks that he heard a grade 2 heart murmur, which was never indicated ever anywhere in my husband's history. And so he's kind of puzzled as to what's triggered that to just now being found. So he's put him in to get a ultrasound, a cardiovascular ultrasound, and to wear a holster, EKG heart reading machine for like 24 to 48 hours. So that is our plan and our goal right now, just to document everything and run more tests. Like I said, his medical care, his unit, everybody has been extremely supportive. They've been calling and checking up on him, making sure he's feeling okay at PT and stuff, and telling him don't push yourself. And they've been wonderful. We're very, very lucky. So I wanted to now go into some of the symptoms that he was having again, just so that you are aware. So he was having extreme chest tightening, chest pain and discomfort. He said it felt like a sledgehammer. He couldn't sleep because of it, and an extremely low heart rate, where his was typically around 70, was now down between 32 and 45, around that proximity. So I went ahead, I couldn't find any information pertaining anything to this on Google, so I had gone and reached out to Facebook, and I made a post. And I've actually had an enormous amount of people go on there and say that they've found other things and blah, blah, blah. But these were two actual friends of mine that have physically seen people going through problems. You know, my sister's boss had a heart attack after his second shot at 28. We've had multiple officers at our agency with the same exact thing after getting their COVID vaccine. Now, these were, just some of the pictures from our different visits. Down there is his actual vaccination card. The dates were not filled out at the time. Possibly they were filled out after he got the shot, so this might have been something that he received beforehand. He actually keeps the card with him. This was just something that he had sent me, showing me that he got it. And then over to the far right, that was one of the images of, if you see that 38 up top there, of his low heart rate. But what I wanted to show everybody, what kind of triggered me to make this video, was just recently, a few hours ago today, there was this thing that ABC had done showing that thousands of service members don't want to get the COVID vaccination. I encourage you to go and read this, because I was really put off by it. Basically, I'm paraphrasing here, obviously, but they're saying that no matter what they tell these servicemen and women, that everything they're reading online is false, that they don't want to get the vaccine. They still don't want to get the vaccine. So they're trying to reassure them that it is safe, and that the numbers aren't looking like they wanted them to look. So they're talking about increasing deployments so that people will have to get the vaccination. So, take this for a grain of salt. I think that that's pretty crappy because right now it is a choice. It's not a mandatory thing. And I personally feel that it should have been better. It should have been not better monitored, but it should have been tracked better. It's still too new. I feel like my husband is a guinea pig, basically. So there's that. And then this is the VAERS website within CDC. And within this database, you can go in and report your symptoms after getting a vaccine. And you can also check other people's symptoms, what they reported. I went in here today. I also went in here 5 days ago to check it. I specifically looked for heart-related conditions by the Moderna manufacturer for COVID-19. Now, some things to point out is that they last processed these updates on February 5th. So this is almost 2 weeks old information, right? So February 5th, just keep that date in your mind. Then over here, if you go to the actual Moderna investment website and you go to their press releases, if you go down here to January 21st, this is the only announcement that they make about any first participant being dosed with the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. This one just so happened to be in Japan. I just thought that that was a little funny because this was January 21st and my husband got his January 15th. Either way you slice it, whether it was the 15th or the 21st on when this vaccine, really rolled out, between those days and February 5th, you're only looking at a 15 to 20 day time period to get these symptom numbers up here. So within, 15, 20 days, all of these people that got the first round vaccine or second round vaccine have, just now started getting symptoms and are just now starting to come out. So this is like really, really new information. Not only that, this is only the people that know about the VAERS. I didn't even know about it until, a couple days after we went to my husband's doctor the first time. So there's a lot of people that don't even know that this even exists. Now, and I just want to point out too, don't forget that these numbers do not indicate every specific case. Now, just like when people had cancer and they were dying and their cause of death was written off as COVID because they, had COVID when they died of cancer, it kind of goes hand in hand with this as well. Just because somebody had died does not necessarily mean that it was because of the vaccine. So if you look in here, though, there's, new cases of arrhythmias, bradycardia, 9. Well, my husband makes 10. Cardiac arrest. 27 people had cardiac arrest after they got the Moderna vaccine. 104 people have developed chest discomfort. 225 people have died. And 94 people have had an increased heart rate. And then just a few have had a decrease in irregular heart rate. But I mean, those are some pretty, in my opinion, those are some significant numbers for basically a 20-day, I guess trial period would be the best way to explain it, from when it first started rolling out to when they started getting symptoms and stuff put into the VAERS system. So, I mean, it was last updated February 5th. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that those numbers are pretty significant, and to sit there and inject our military with an unknown vaccine, something that hasn't been researched enough, something that they haven't checked the longevity on. Who knows what's going to happen 10 years down the road? Sure, my husband's fine now as long as his blood pressure is normal. He doesn't get dizzy or lightheaded. What happens 10 years from now when he's 40 and our bodies start going through that natural decomposition period and his blood pressure's not so great and his joints aren't so great? What's going to happen then? Is my husband going to have, some kind of heart disease or heart failure because of this vaccine? We've already got, within a month of getting the vaccine, indications that, it has given my husband heart problems. So what happens as he does get older? Is it definitely going to affect him? These are all questions that just keep going through my mind, and nobody can answer because nobody knows, because there hasn't been enough research done on it. This was rolled out way too soon, and to inject our military with it, you're talking about losing millions of dollars. Figure for every service member you have, not only do you pay them their regular pay, you pay them costs of living, you pay them for their uniforms, for their equipment, for travel, for training, for just all of this stuff combined, especially a service member who has been in the military, 10, 15, 20 years. You have invested a ton of money into that service member, and to inject them with a vaccine that you know nothing about or the repercussions that it's going to have on them, once they get out of the military, what's going to happen? They're going to turn around, they're going to claim that on VA, and then the government's going to be out even more money with disability payments, correcting them. Let's say my husband needs a heart transplant later on. How much is that going to cost the government to put a new heart inside my husband's body? So you've got medical costs on top of that, plus insurance, plus all of the other stuff associated with it. I just don't feel that this whole process was thought out very well. And it upsets me as a wife, sitting there seeing my perfectly healthy husband a month ago, and now he's fatigued constantly. He's tired, he's run down, his chest is always hurting. He's always pulling at his chest. He can't sleep. He's worried, and he's trying not to be. He makes jokes all the time, but anyway. It's very unsettling for me to see my husband go in with such a noble cause to try and get some normalcy back in this world, to try and set an example for other people, only to turn around and end up being a guinea pig and having something serious happen to him. So anyway, that's my story. The only way that we're going to be able to do anything about this is if everybody, tells their story and tells their information and gets it out there firsthand, their actual experiences, and shows the proof and the numbers that are there. So I hope that this helps somebody and other people in the future, and please share it. Thank you.